My name is Ethan Satkowski, and I run a software company called Shiftly Auto. And if you saw my most recent video, you know I was partnered with somebody about a year ago, which is a social media influencer, has a bad name online, goes without saying his name, who he is. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering, how has the business actually been affected after the partnership? Did we grow? Did we fail? Did we stay the same? What actually ended up happening after the partnership? Well, this video is to break down exactly what happened after the partnership. So to bring it all back to the day that it ended, it was July 2024. We had 4 or 5 of the sales guys flying to Phoenix to go to an event that we were supposed to be at with the Elliott Group. And keep in mind, this is where I just moved my entire life to. I moved several states away to move down to Phoenix for this partnership. Well, of course, we didn't get to go because this is when the partnership was ending. It was actually, in fact, held above our heads that we couldn't go to this event unless we signed this new agreement that, if you haven't watched the other video, you'll find out what the additional agreement was and why we obviously turned it down. And by the way, if you haven't seen that video yet, I'm going to leave a link at the end of this video to go back and watch part 1, because right now you're on part 2. And if you did watch part 1, welcome back to part 2. This is the rest of the story. So again, we had 4 or 5 of the sales guys flying out, and they still ended up coming out. Instead of canceling their flights, instead of staying home, they still came out. We just had a group meeting at my house where we put a plan together of how we're actually gonna grow this without a partner, without anybody else's hands touching our company, all within the Shiftly team. And so we filmed a bunch of content, we filmed new ads, and the team was more connected than ever. So the next couple months after the partnership ended, went on kind of like normal, except for we had more marketing money to put into our ads, which of course led to more deals, more sales, because our partnership was not generating us very many leads. And so we did grow anywhere from 5 to 15% month over month. And about 3 months after the partnership is where it got a little bit rocky, before we eventually hit a really big trajectory of where we're at today. And it started like this. I was out of town. I went to go see a friend of mine actually do a housewarming party where he moved in with 4 or 5 of his entrepreneur buddies. A very good friend of mine, still near and dear to my heart today, very good guy. We were talking about business, and he had an idea to come into our business and change a little bit of our offer, because we do have 2 offers. We have a B2C offer and we have a B2B offer. And this product was starting to do really well in the B2B space. It was catching the attention of a lot of businesses rather than individuals, right? And so we were talking over this housewarming party, and he was at a marketing agency at the time. And he said, hey, I really think that I can come on. I really like your offer. I really think that I can help you grow this. And this is what that would look like. And essentially he would come on to be a CLO, and we would now tweak our offer to now we're only focusing on B2B. Now, I know a lot of you, if you've watched part 1, you're like, oh my God, this guy, and I think that you're right, but entrepreneurship is part of learning from your own mistakes, right? Of course, there's people that you can learn and grow from, but you're never always going to make the right decision. And so part of being a business owner is learning from mistakes. But this was a mistake that happened that turns out to be one of my biggest lessons, and the partnership was the number 1, so this makes it number 2. All within about a 6-month period. Now, just to let you in on a secret, I don't think I've made very many big mistakes, especially not this big or the partnership big mistakes since then. So hope that, knock on wood, that I don't make any more. So what ended up happening is he came in and he was COO. He came in and he was running our morning meetings. He was doing the sales training with the team. He was creating the pitch pack for us. He really honestly tried to do a lot when he first came in, and really looking at the back end as well, looking at churn, how do we get people to obviously make our product more sticky. And he was really looking at the whole business and almost essentially looking at it as his own. So things seemed great the first couple of days. Of course, we were all excited. We are looking at this as, hey, this is a really good growth opportunity for us. Business to business is doing really well. Obviously, there's more money to make in business to business. So selfishly for us and the salespeople, we're excited about this. But also, it's truthfully to help more people. When we offer it to a consumer, a B2C instead of a B2B, you're helping one person as opposed to a business. It's helping their entire sales team. And so it was a win-win for both sides. However, what started to happen is, because we were so reliant on salespeople, on business to consumer, that was 85 to 90% of our business still, is that we were no longer offering to those people. We had thousands of leads in the system, I mean literally thousands, that we can no longer sell to. Instead, we changed the process. We said, hey, we need your dealership to get on the phone with us. We need your manager to get on the phone with us. This is we only offer this solution now is to the whole entire dealership instead of to you personally. And if you don't know anything about the automotive industry or salespeople, is depending on the product, they want it only for themselves, especially if it's a competitive market in which that product helps them compete in, right? And so this is one of those products, right? And so a lot of salespeople said, no, I just want this for myself, and things didn't go well. So what ended up happening, long story short, is the business decreased about 30% month over month. It was the first time in the company history where the business went down. Ever since we started the company, which was about a year and 2 months at this point, it had been a growth month. Whether it was a little growth month or it was a substantial growth month, we always had a growth month. And this was the point in time where we actually went down 30% in revenue from the previous month. So things got a little bit rocky. Things were scary. This persisted for about 2 to 2.5 months. We stuck through the rut. We tried to figure out ways. We were doing marketing campaigns, spending more money on marketing. At this time, we didn't have really that great of a grasp on marketing. And especially in the B2B space, we weren't really getting good cost per book calls. We were trying to come up with new ways to get people on the phone, essentially cold calling, which we've never done before, we've never needed to, because ads have always converted very well. And so things were getting really expensive. Nobody was selling a whole lot. And of course, the business was starting to go down when every single month prior was going up. And at this point in time, the company actually was starting to go negative, meaning we were not making a profit. We were losing money month over month. This was, again, the first time in Shifley history that this has ever happened, because every single month we were profitable. So about 2.5 months in, we said enough is enough. We're going to open back up the gates to selling how we used to salespeople and to dealerships, business to business and business to consumer. And things started to do really well again. The same month that we opened back up that offer, we did the same amount in revenue as before we shut off the offer. Now remember, we went down 30% in revenue month over month from that 1 month, which was September, into October. And then November was the same. We lost 10% from the previous month going on to November. And then in December, we were able to hit the same amount of revenue that we did back in September before we actually caught off this offer. So things were looking good, except for we had half of the team size because nobody was making money, right? And when you're not making money and you need money for your family to survive, obviously you can no longer work somewhere. You have to find another opportunity. So we started January with about 4 or 5 of us in total as a team in January of 2025. At this point in time in filming, it is September 8th to be exact. So it's now been 9 months from where this started, and this is the part that it truly starts to get good. In the start of January, we got together again and we said, okay, how are we actually going to grow as a company? How are we actually going to serve our clients? How are we actually going to make this a big year for us, right? And so what we did is we made one guy who had been with us for over a year, who stuck through the hard times, who was making, I'm saying, barely any money during the hard times. I'm talking $2,000 to $3,000 a month when he was used to making $10,000 to $11,000 a month. He stuck with us. He was really good at sales, and we saw really good potential leadership and sales training, sales management in this person. And so what we did is we started them as a sales manager in January of 2025, the beginning of this year. And he overlooked 2 people at the time. So it was him and then 2 salespeople. So really not a whole lot of work when it comes to the sales management aspect. So you still had a lot of time to sell, which is obviously good for the company. You have the best person selling as well as helping the other 2 people get up to speed and learn from the top dog. And obviously the goal from here was to hire more people to increase the team size to get back up to the growth that we saw the previous year before we made all these changes. So February comes around, we've added 1 or maybe 2 more salespeople to the team, and things are looking good. We're starting to grow again. We went from December, we did another jump in January in revenue, and then in February we went up again. So things were looking pretty solid and we were starting to grow as a team. And this is where the third mistake that I believe I've ever made in business, and it was rolling out a free trial to try and get our value to as many clients as we possibly could. But what it did is it hurt the sales team. Now the reason I did this is because I heard somebody who's very connected to God, who's very connected to religious beliefs. And they said the way of business is to give free value before you ever ask for anything in return. They said a lot of companies, what they do is they give for free. They just let people try their stuff, and if they like it, then they sign up. If they don't, they don't. And so we decided to let people try it for free for 7 days. Now, of course, as you can imagine, this cost the company substantially to do something like this, as we were putting money into advertising, and we have to provide the product that does cost us money, time, energy to set up, and we're providing it for free. So we ran this offer for about a month, and during this time, we're running 2 separate ad campaigns, a free trial, and we're running a separate campaign that's just to generate leads so that the sales team can talk to, and they either offer them a monthly package for a discounted rate, or they set them up on a 7-day free trial. You as a salesperson, if you're watching this, you know that the way you get paid is by making a sale, right? And if somebody signs up for a free trial, you're not going to get paid on that, at least not initially. maybe 7 days after. So you can imagine during this time, a lot of salespeople hearing on the phone every day. They go through a 10-minute pitch, 15-minute pitch, 20-minute pitch, however long it took, and then they hear, yeah, man, I just saw an ad just came up about your 7-day free trial. I think I'm going to start with that before I start with any package with you guys. So it's a very weird time. It almost felt like the same mistake that we made a couple months prior, going only to B2B, except for this time we're kind of giving out a product for free, but we have a salesperson on the phone that's trying to pitch a package that they actually sign up and pay for right there. So yes, this was a very big mistake that I fully take ownership for and will never do again to my team. But again, it was another point that allowed me and allowed the team to grow from there. So March comes around, we cut off this campaign. We're now focused on hiring more people onto the team. April, we added 2 people. May, we added 3 or 4 people. June, another 3 or 4 people. July, another 2 people. And August, I believe we added 2 or 3 additional people. And this is team total. This is not just salespeople. This is on our support team as well. We now have a sales team of over 10 and we have a support team of over 5. So remember, in January, there was about 4 of us. And now in September, which is 9 months later, there's over 20 people total on the team. Support, onboarding, sales, management, ownership. There's over 20 people working for the company. There was only 3 or 4 in January. So when I said we went all in on building team, we went all in on building the team. Not it being just some product that you get access to, a product that actually comes with more than just a product. It comes with a community, it comes with people, it comes with support, it comes with training, much more than just a product. Because especially in our industry, it's not just the product that gets you results. It's the know-how of what actually gets results on Facebook Marketplace, the strategies, how to respond to people, et cetera, et cetera. And so we wanted to provide that value for our clients to make sure that they're actually successful on Facebook, rather than just providing a product and hoping that it works out for them. And so now the question you're probably asking yourself, how much did the company actually grow? Well, I'm sure it's not hard to imagine that if we have now a team of over 20 and we only had a team of 3 to 4, that the company grew substantially. We have over 4x'd our monthly revenue since January, and again, it's only September. Our growth rate is higher than it's ever been. We've scaled more than 6 figures just in the last month alone in terms of monthly revenue. And part of that is actually because, again, we've seen a high interest in B2B again. And instead of taking out the B2C offer completely, what we've done is we've started 2 teams, a B2B team and a B2C team. And so I think, again, to kind of wrap up this video, in essence, it's, being an entrepreneur in my eyes, in my opinion, is much about learning from your own mistakes. Now, some of these mistakes can be avoided, yes, because at a much larger scale, if you make a mistake that big, it can crumble a company. Now, it's also true to say that as a bigger company, you generally have more heads in the room, which we do now. I don't just make decisions on my own. I have a team of people that I talk to and make decisions with, so we collectively make a decision for a company rather than just one person steering the ship. So there's a lot of things that I've learned over the year while being able to still grow as a business, and grow as a company, and grow as a person. And I think that a large reason of why we were able to grow is because we are no longer partnered with the person in the company that we were partnered with before. Simply put, I don't think we would have had the capital, I don't think that we would have had the guidance that we would have needed during the tough times or during the good times in order to know how to scale the company and actually grow as a team. And the biggest part of that is obviously the capital, because this company was very costly already and was only going to get more costly if we did decide to sign the new partnership. Right now on screen, I'm going to put an overlay video of our current office, our current Schiffli Auto office that we now have for our in-person team. This is something that we opened up in just July, and as you can see, we have quite a few desks here. We are currently not fully filled, so we are looking to fill a couple of our desks still. We now have an in-person team. As you can see, we are very, very keen on the people and the team. We want to make sure that as we're building this company, we're doing it with people, and we're always providing that person-to-person interaction for our clients. So no, the company did not fail, although we may have been close, or at least had some rocky times. The company did not fail. We are doing much better than we ever have before, and the trajectory of where we're going is much bigger and much closer than it ever was before. And so I look back at the partnership as a learning lesson, just as I look back at the other 2 mistakes that I made as learning lessons, something that you learn of business, right? I now have a much better grasp of business than I did before, and I'm sure a year from now, I'll have an even better grasp of business and being an entrepreneur than I do right now. And that's the part of the journey that I love, is always growing, always consistently learning something new every day. But now I have a much bigger team to hold me accountable. And so that is the update that a lot of you have been asking for and have been wanting to hear. And if you want to continue watching more videos in the future, continue to stay updated with our mission and our company, then hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the notifications tab, because I'm going to be posting a lot more here on YouTube in the very near future. And again, as I promised, right now on screen should be a link also in the description. If it's not on screen, you can go down and click the link to watch part 1 if you haven't already watched that video. That one gives you an entire breakdown of essentially when I started the company, close to it at least, and whenever we ended the partnership with this influencer. So again, if you want to hear more from me in the future, you want to continue watching my videos, hit the subscribe button down below. Let me know that you like this video by leaving a like, and we will see you in the next video.